I had taken my hair out to go to the hairdresser, so it was all in its natural form and glory. And I got to the hairdresser. There was this man outside. He's like, "Oh, are you getting your hair done?" "Yep." And so when I got it done and they came back out a couple hours later, he's like, "Oh my God, your hair looks so beautiful. You look so beautiful." And I'm like, "So why didn't I get that
On the way in.
when I first came in?" And he caught himself too. He's like, "Not that you weren't beautiful before, but it's just like these two bookends,
Yeah.
right?"
Hi, I'm Debra, executive coach, consultant, and founder of Do Better Executive Coaching and Do Better by Design. After years of leading in education and higher ed, often in spaces not built for me, I've turned those lessons into work that supports others, especially women of color who are leading, healing, building businesses, and figuring it out as they go. On this podcast, we keep it real. I sit down with artists, educators, entrepreneurs, and leaders to talk about legacy, healing, leadership, and the courage it takes to take up space without shrinking. This is for those of us who are done waiting for permission to lead differently. If you're ready to lead with heart, live with intention, and take up space with no apologies, you're in the right place. Follow me for leadership gems, real talk, and reminders that you've got this. In preparation for my conversation with Lawrence Carroll, where we will talk about the stories that we've inherited about our hair, I started thinking about what messaging did I get as a child about my hair. And it made me think about how my hair journey started. And my mom taking me to the hairdresser, I think I was like 7 or 8, to get my hair straightened for the very first time. And I remember the smell of the chemical that they put on my hair before they straightened it. I remember the feelings that I had after it was straightened, and the message that I received from my mom, "Oh, your hair looks good." She always said that she had the best hair out of her siblings, so hair was very important to her as well. And throughout my teenager years, straightened, throughout my 20s, straightened, throughout my 30s, because my hair journey was activated at the age of 7 or 8 by my mom when she first straightened my hair. And those messages that I would receive from her, "Oh, your hair looks so pretty. You've got that good hair." And every time I would get my hair straightened, that's what the hairdressers would say too. "Wow, your hair is so strong. You've got that good hair. It's thick." And then they would straighten it. So I took pride in that thickness. Took pride in how people would react to it, because it started and was activated by my mom at a very early age. Ironically, the change of my hair is also connected to my mom. The change happened in my early 40s when she passed away. I was still getting my hair straightened, but my hair was breaking because of the stress and the toll of her passing had taken on me. So I had to stop straightening it to kind of restore it. And after that, I started wearing protective styles, which is what I've been doing for the last 12 years. Um, so just thinking about that, I'm like, wow, she activated this, and she also activated the change of no more perms. Um, so I'm really excited to get into this conversation, into a deeper conversation with Lawrence Carroll, my next guest for Do Better with Deborah. Before we launch into our conversation, I really want to tell you a little bit more about Lawrence Carroll, our next guest. I had heard him speak at an event, and something he mentioned stayed with me. He talked about a book he had written for his sister called My Dear Queen, and I knew I wanted to hear more. Lawrence is an author, an artist, an entrepreneur, and the founder of Majestic Art Gallery. He's also a mentor and a youth advocate who has poured his heart into helping young people feel seen, affirmed, and powerful, starting with how they see themselves. In this conversation, we will talk about the stories we've inherited about our hair, our identity, and our worth, and what it means to rewrite these stories with love and intention. We'll talk about the affirmations we didn't always grow up hearing, and how creativity can be a tool for healing, connection, and legacy.
This episode is personal, powerful, and full of reminders that we are worthy just as we are. Let's get into it. We're re-recording this. So, thank you so much for coming back and re-recording it. You know, technology is so fun.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I told you my story with trying to record stuff and not pressing the record button.
That was a funny story. So, you had a YouTube channel and you were recording stuff for your channel,
Oh
or
yeah,
how did the story go?
yeah. Me and my son's mom, we thought we were going to be YouTubers, and so we would record great content. And then at the end of the video, so we thought was the end, I'd go back to look so we can play it, and then shit, you didn't press the record button. And I'm like, ooh, yep. And it wasn't just like a
Yeah.
one-time thing. This was like I would do this all the time.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, fun. Well, thank you for coming back and re-recording this with me. I appreciate you. I was telling the audience a little bit about you before you jumped on. Um, your commitment to really helping youth and supporting youth. I love that you. I love the workshop you did for the empowerment conference, right? You had them hold up a mirror to their faces and really like reflect on who they are and who they want to be. um, I really resonate with that.
Hmm,
So when I was telling them more about you, I was saying that you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, but the thing that really like connects me to you is how you want to empower the
yeah.
youth. Uh, it really I love that about you. I think more of us have to do that. I often say that teaching what we know is so important, right? Our battle scars, our wins, our triumphs, right? And we weren't always this version of ourselves. So I really love um, spending time with you and learning more about your values and your commitment to helping lift others up.
Thanks. When I reflect on, because this comes up in conversation now more in like this stage of my life more than anything, and I think it's because I'm leaning into this passion that I have for helping young people. And I attribute a lot of it to my grandparents for sure. My
Mm,
grandmother was a kindergarten teacher for 36 plus years. My grandfather was heavily involved with youth and music. My brother's an educator in Chicago through music and jazz. So I've always been surrounded by like, what can you do to be of service to the
mm,
new generation? Uh,
mhm,
but I'm just a big kid at heart. And I want to feel like the combination of the two. There's something that energizes me on the inside that makes me say, man, like I'm doing something really, really good here. Uh,
mm,
by just making my resources available to young people. And so the more that I do this work, the more excited I get about it. And then the more I learn about the opportunities that, aren't just for me, but for all of us to figure out like, how can we work together? I mean, just to kind of give you a new example, because I don't think we talked about this the last go round. But through LA Pride, I'm on the board of LA Pride, we're launching a youth advisory board. And this is an effort that, I'm taking lead on. And we've got students from universities and colleges throughout the Los Angeles area. They're going to be part of this first cohort. But when I've met with them, it's like these young folks are excited, and they're thanking us for giving them the opportunity or providing the opportunity, rather. I don't like to say give, but providing an opportunity for them to actually be a part of this experience. So often we hear, especially when you look at like political landscapes, that older folks are out of touch. Well, yeah, that can be true. We are out of touch with what the younger generations are experiencing. So how do you begin to get in touch? Well, you got to connect and you got to talk. And you also got to keep an
mm,
open mind on both ends to be able to learn and have that ebb and flow of energy. Just because you're older doesn't mean that you know everything, but you do have a little bit of like
mhm,
lived experience and wisdom that you can share. And hopefully the younger generations, it'll resonate with them. Sometimes if you think that they're not even listening to you, it's probably planting a seed that they can come back. I'm sure you know this.
mhm, mhm.
But then it's like
Very
we
true.
learn from, it's the other way around. It's like we learn from the younger folks. And I'd like to think that the more we listen to young folks, then we can kind of figure out like what resources we have as the older generation to help them out. I think a lot of being older comes with listening. We got to be able to listen to these young folks because they need us just as much as we need them. But it starts with listening. It starts with conversations,
I love
just like
that.
this.
I love that. Yep, I love that new initiative.
You're listening to the Do Better with Deborah podcast with Dr. Debra Y. Griffith. After the episode, make sure you visit dobetterexecutivecoaching.com and learn how to lean into your power and lead with confidence, purpose, and joy. And make sure to follow Dr. Debra on LinkedIn or Instagram. And now, back to Dr. Debra and her guest, artist, author, and organizer, Lawrence Carroll.
So, I heard you say at this event that you had written this book called My Dear Queen. And then I got curious, like, what's this about? And when we spoke last time, we talked a lot about our hair journey, right? Which had me thinking about your book and also my own hair journey. So I'm hoping that we can recreate this magical moment that we had several weeks ago in this new moment to talk about Dear Queen. So I think I heard you say, or you had messaged me about, um, are you republishing this book?
Working on it. I'd like to work
Okay.
with an actual publishing house to really help this message get more like out in the world. Something
Mm,
about being a self-published author. If this is your full-time business, then baby, please like dive into it and make it grow and do all the things. But when you have more obligations and more responsibility, and like when you have more focus areas, it is difficult to really get your material out there as a self-published author.
mm,
So
mhm.
several years ago, I decided to go the self-publishing route because I was anxious and just ready to get the poetry into the hands of people. It had gotten to the point where it was beautifully illustrated. Shout out to Yetunde Sap, who is the illustrator. And then once when we got it to the point where it was ready to actually get formed into a book, then it was like, I just want folks to read it.
Mm,
So it was in part being a little impatient with the process of really trying to find the right organization, the right group that would care about the book. And then it was also a little bit me too. I was very protective of it, and I wasn't sure I was going to meet the right people who could protect and take care of this book.
So, but now we're shifting,
We're
right?
shifting.
You said, I want to make sure that this message gets out.
Yeah.
So I want to know what the message is, and I also want to know why now. Why do you want to have this message? What shifted for you to say, no, I have to do this. I have to get this out
Yeah.
on a more broader scale. So first, what is My Dear Queen about?
Simply put, it's a self-love message. It is a message to love what you were born with. Um,
Mm,
you know, when I reflect on, and just to kind of give the listeners some backstory, some context here. My Dear Queen was an open letter, like a love letter, so to speak, and a response to my sister sharing her hair journey with me, and this was several years ago. My sister is my older sister. I'm not going to shout her out by age; she'll get mad. Well, maybe she won't. I don't. But anyway, she's my older sister. And so as the younger brother, I was not part of her hair journey for the first 7 or 8 years and beyond. And so I would just see her come to family gatherings and functions and things with some hairstyles. And this is back in the 90s. So we're talking SWV hairstyles. We're talking, with something laid like this, and we're talking different colors. And this didn't just stop in the 90s, it's carried through into the 2000s. And then wigs started becoming like a thing. And I never understood what was the exploration with all the different hair. Like there was this one picture of my sister where she had a short cut and she looked so stunning and think like Tony Braxton. And it was one of my
mm,
favorites because her smile, my sister got a just infectious smile, but it was so genuine and she looked so happy. And it was with her hair. And so I'm just like, man, that's one of my favorite pictures of my sister. She hates that picture. At least she did then.
mm,
And it was always one of my favorites of her. And so when she shared her hair journey and let me know, she was like, "Bro, it has taken me, basically my entire life to get to the point where I love what I have." I don't think she did a full chop, um, but she did spend a lot of time trying to learn like what natural products that she could use, and from there, this like love started to grow because she started growing a connection, from what I understood, a connection with her hair. So hearing that made me realize like this is deeper than just exploring with fun hairstyles, at least for her. Like this is deeply rooted, pun intended, in like how she sees herself, her self-worth, what spaces she's allowed to maneuver in, or what she feels comfortable in, like all of the things. And so I felt like I had contributed to some of like maybe the negative pieces of her hair journey, because I would make fun of her for some of the hairstyles she would show up with. I'm embarrassed to say it, but it's like sometimes I'm like, sis, like, what's up with the red this time? Like, really? Or here come the weave again, and not realizing, like, although she would laugh in those moments, she probably would have gone home and maybe felt some kind of way behind it and just never
Mm,
shared it with me. So, My Dear Queen was born out of that. I needed to let her know that I heard her, that I was listening to her, and then I wanted her to realize and feel like, if nothing else, like the hair that is on top of your head, it is beautiful, it is yours, it is magical. You can rock it whatever hairstyle you want. And then I wanted to tie it into a message of it being a symbol of royalty and it being the crown on your head. Because when we look at the history of, particularly with Black women, hair culture, that is how you could define, and in some tribes and in some African cultures, just like the hierarchy and the status of women based off of their hairstyles. So there's a lot of heritage in there. And then there's just a lot of cultural connection. There's a lot of spirituality involved. There's a lot of love here. And she's not the only one that can like identify with that type of journey. So after I wrote the poem, called her back, read it to her, and let her know like this poem was for her. So Dear Queen is
mm,
dedicated to my sister, but also at the same time, I wanted to make sure that it was dedicated to every other Black and brown woman that has experienced something like this or may experience something like this, as far as trying to have that self-love for their hair. And so, yeah, that
mhm.
is the backstory of My Dear Queen.
What messages did your mom have or send your sister about her hair? And what messages did your mom send you about your hair growing
That's
up?
a fun question, because mom has a very different hair texture from my sister.
Mm,
And has a very different hair texture even from me. Um, and my mom's a light-skinned Black woman, so for those that are probably wondering, like, "Huh?" or probably already knew, her hair's a little bit softer. Y'all probably get it. So mom didn't really talk to either one of us about hair growing up. I think mom, at least from what I have heard from the family stories, is that they weren't on the same page as far as like their own hair journeys. Because mom knew what worked for her, and she tried to make it work for my sister, and it didn't work. There's a perm
mhm,
story in here, so anybody can
mhm,
relate to a perm story. For my sister, it was damaging, not just for her hair, but
mhm,
for her spirit. So it didn't do what I think my mom was intending the perm to do for my sister. And so my sister, unfortunately, had to suffer, being bullied at school, and that setback of how she sees herself, because the hair just, it was the first thing that folks saw. Um, it was rough for my sister having to go through that. That's
mhm,
why I feel
mhm,
like you asked that question, like, why now? Why is this important to really get it out there? Over the last several years of doing book readings with My Dear Queen, of having folks buy it and then send me DMs or text messages to let me know that their daughter read it and now she's proud of her hair, sending me videos of their daughters reading it or saying, "Hey, I know this little girl that needs to hear these words." It is apparent to me that not just for the younger generations, but also for adult women, that this poem in particular just really hits home, and it's a message that needs to be heard, regardless of
mhm,
hair textures. And that is why I wrote
mhm,
it. I wanted Black and brown women in particular to feel uplifted in this time. And mind you, when I wrote this was before George Floyd, this was before Black Lives Matter, this was back in 2018. But as Black and brown people in this country, that standard of beauty has always been this fight and this battle to say what we were born with is beautiful, natural is beautiful, wigs are beautiful, just whatever. And so we've always had to fight. We've always had to fight to be beautiful. We've always had to fight to, not be stared at and things like that. So psychologically, man, and emotionally, spiritually, that does damage, that does harm. So let's
Mhm.
offset that. Let's put some
Mhm.
positive
Mhm.
material out there that folks can gravitate to. So therefore, hopefully a different message and a different narrative can be born.
So you originally wrote this for your sister, but I remember you saying that you thought you were going to have uh, a baby girl, and then you ended up having a
Yeah.
son. What was the connection between this book, writing it for your sister, but also thinking that you were going to read it for your daughter?
Man, if these were the only words that my daughter would have from me uh, as a leave behind, then I would have felt like I set her up for some success. That's why it was really important to just like have this poem just live and
Mm,
and 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 be shared. Uh,
mm,
I was really trying to put myself in the mindset of like, how can I protect my daughter? How can I be there for my daughter? What would she need from me as her father? And so it was just really timely having that conversation with my sister because I really couldn't think of anything else. And then when we had that conversation, it dawned on me, I'm like, well, wait a second. My daughter would end up having a hair texture that I probably don't know what's coming. Her mother is Black and Mexican. So it's just like, what would that look like? And her mother also had, struggles with her hair journey as well. So it's like I wanted this poem to not only be a response to my sister, but also to be something that my daughter could, use to empower herself and have that self-love. But
mm,
then, universe, God was just like, you're gonna have a son. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Not that this could
mhm,
not be read to young boys or men, because what's funny is that I've done some book readings that men have participated in, and it has prompted them to think about their hair journeys. So even though my intended audience is not necessarily men, my dear queen, on the subject of hair, that is you. I mean, that is ultimately the message. It is a self-love message. So that's why anybody can read it, but I intended it for a specific audience.
mm. Think about the healing about the hair, right? I think about what you just said about your sister and the straightening of the hair and how damaging that was. What has her healing journey been?
That's a great question for her. I don't know quite as
Mhm,
much, but it is a beautiful
mhm,
question because I've seen this evolution of my sister as a bold, beautiful, courageous woman throughout every struggle she's ever been in. And today, probably the most confident I have ever seen her.
mm,
And so the confidence of my sister being able to no longer feel as if she needs to, add something else to her hair in order for her to feel beautiful about herself. And that is not to dismiss anybody that feels that, adding something extra to their hair is like bad. It's just for my sister, I have noticed that she no longer
mm,
feels that she needs to do those things.
mm,
So yeah, at least for the last 5 or 6 years now, she owns it. She knows that her hair is beautiful. Like you can't tell her different. You like if you went to her, her name is Tennille. You said Tennille, your hair is ugly. She'd be, I pity the fool who would say that to her, because she's just so confident in the beauty and the magic of her crown, of her hair. So I
mm.
would say that her healing journey has definitely put her into that space.
Got you. So I was thinking about my own hair journey, and I had said earlier that my earliest hair journey was around like 7 or 8 when my mom took me for my first perm. And the messages that I would get after that and throughout my life has been, "Oh, you have such strong hair." They say that before they would put
Mm,
the perm on, and then you have such beautiful hair, so strong hair, beautiful hair. fast forward to when my mom passed away. So the message I got early from her was, right, she took me to get the perm, and then that instilled like, okay, I guess this is what pretty hair looks like. To when she passed away, my hair started breaking.
Mm,
So it was no longer strong. I can't put the perm in it because that makes it even weaker
wow.
and breaks even more. That I stopped perming it altogether, and I just wear protective hairstyles now.
Wow. Wow.
And I had taken my hair out to go to the hairdresser, so it was all in its natural form and glory. And I got to the hairdresser. There was this man outside. He's like, "Oh, are you getting your hair done?" Yep. And so when I got it done and they came back out a couple hours later, he's like, "Oh my God, your hair looks so beautiful. You look so beautiful." And I'm like, "So why didn't I get that
Yeah, on the way in.
when I first came in?" And he caught himself too. He's like, "Not that you weren't beautiful before, but it's just like these two bookends,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah. Well, so a couple things stand out here. Strong hair and beautiful hair
And beautiful hair, yeah.
prior to you getting the perm, right?
Yes.
But then getting the perm would make it more beautiful?
More beautiful,
So
yes.
that's where the disconnect was happening for me because I was just like, wait a second. If folks were telling you that your hair was strong and beautiful already, then what
Mhm.
was the need for the
Mhm.
perm to make it more beautiful? Is just the question that I have.
Yeah,
You know.
but it's reinforced by mom saying mom taking me to get my first
Mm,
perm. She's also getting perms.
mm-hmm. What I guess like what industry did your mom work in?
She was a nurse for a long time, and then she went into, like, just childcare.
Okay. Okay.
But, we lived in Canada, there wasn't a lot of Black people where we lived, so, I mean, that's just what she knew, perm the
And
hair.
that, when we look at like generations, and then also the reason why I asked the question of like what industry was she in? Because I've heard this a lot in conversation after, doing book readings and sharing this material that, Black women and Black and brown women will struggle or have struggled rather owning the strength and the beauty of their own hair.
Mhm.
Based
Mhm.
on the industry that they're in. So if they're in corporate, they can't do the crochet braids,
Mm, mhm.
or they can't wear it out and natural. So they go for the perms or they can't do protective styles, like none of that stuff because it's frowned upon in the industry that they're in. I have seen a push away from that. Or against it rather, especially with it was the Crown Act actually that has really been fighting and championing for Black women to be able to wear their natural hair and to wear protective hairstyles and all of the above, regardless of what industry they work in. So we've seen a shift culturally, at least being protected on the legal front. But I would imagine that the same ideas and thoughts go into people's heads when they see Black women, that don't have soft hair and it's not bone straight. It's like, oh yeah, there she is. But then also
Mhm.
you see the reverse too. This magnificence and this awe and this, oh my gosh, like your hair. That's why I put the line in there. Your hair is like magic; it can change every day. Maybe you've
Mm.
experienced this, but you know, you come to work with the crochet braids, and then maybe next week you show up and you have a completely different hairstyle, and they may call you a different name, or they may be like, "Oh, Debra, like you caught me off guard. I didn't know that you could look like that." Or, "Oh, can I see your hair? It's so different today." It
Mhm.
causes this
Mhm.
conversation,
Yeah, it really
nation.
does. It's crazy. I've been told, "Oh, your hair grew." Now you how did you think my hair grew that quickly? Or you look softer.
Softer,
Softer. I'm like, "Oh,
really?
okay. Yeah, alright, alright." I'd rather the commentary
Oh man.
stay with just
That's a
you.
whole nother
Yes.
conversation because man, the commentary, and that's what breaks my heart though. I should not have
Mhm.
to go through this.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really can't think of another group of humans that have been subject to what some folks call microaggressions or, the curiosity of people and the boldness of people to say things and do things such as reach in and touch.
Yeah.
or say, you look softer. Like, well, what the fuck was that supposed to mean?
Yeah. What does that mean? Yeah.
Like, wow, but it's like, see how much hair can impact somebody's own self, like, reflection, self-worth, and things like that. So it pisses me off, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it is really painful, shocking with some of the things that comes out of people's mouths as a reflection of what they think they see. I'm like, you don't have to share that with me.
Yeah, not at all. It's unfortunate, but it's also like it could be a superpower. I love seeing Black women walk down the streets being very confident in the hair on that they have that day. I make it a point now to actually go and say, like, "Yo, man, your hair is beautiful." Like, I can tell that you really, really own your hair. I have to acknowledge that. And most often than not, I get met with like a smile, like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, "Hey, no, like, for real, it is dope. Like, what you have is amazing." And I feel like the world just needs more of that, just
Yeah,
strangers being kind to one another.
I love that. I would love for you to read the book to us or the poem to us,
Cool.
if you
Yeah,
would.
absolutely. I actually came prepared. So, for my sis, this poem is dedicated to my sister Tennille and her hair journey. Her courage and vulnerability gave me purpose and inspiration to write My Dear Queen. And again, shout out to Yetunde Sap. She's the one who illustrated this book. When you all get yourself a copy, just revel in the magic. She's a student at the Parsons School of Design in New York. I believe she graduated now, but just look her up. Phenomenal, gifted artist. So here we go. Your hair is a crown unlike any other, a crown bestowed to you by your father and mother. Your hair is like magic, it can change every day. Your hair is a crown worn so many different ways. You can wear your crown curly, or you can wear your crown straight. You can wear your crown low, or wear it in braids. You can wear your crown dreaded, or wear your crown in a fro. Your crown turns heads everywhere that you go. Your crown is not less than or inferior to others. You're a queen with beautiful hair, just like your mother. So wear your crown proudly atop your beautiful head. Your hair is a symbol of royalty, no matter what anyone says. And then on the back it says, "Dear reader, to every young girl, young woman, and grown woman who may be struggling with accepting and celebrating the beauty of your own hair, you are beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. You are magic, my dear queen." And that's it.
Powerful.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lawrence. That is just so
Hmm.
powerful. Before I let you go, it is June 11th, 2025. We both live in Los Angeles. There is a lot happening. Where do you find hope?
Mm. Well, I find hope in God. I am a man of God. I have gone through so much in my life that the one thing that has brought me peace, especially in today's world, has been God. But God is also within me. So I find peace
Mhm,
within. I find hope um, through connection. So this
mhm,
gives me hope. Community gives me hope. I belong to some fascinating and really, really beautiful organizations. Neighborhood Council is one of them for downtown Los Angeles. I belong to a board and a cohort of folks that really, really care about what's happening in downtown. Again, I'm on the board of LA Pride, another group of individuals that just really care. And now I've got my community of educators, which you belong to, and I do nonprofit work. And in each of these spaces, it's folks that are coming together to realize like we have a common interest and we care. So what can we do together to keep caring? And when you see people that care, it's like, wow, man, like that's a beautiful thing, and that even goes to my family that's at church. These folks care. So
mhm,
caring about one another gives me hope. And we're seeing that with the protest. Folks are of all backgrounds care about the well-being and the welfare of others, and that's a beautiful thing. So I hope that that energy can keep moving us forward to keep caring about one another and to do what we can safely. Okay, and
Mhm.
that's key here. We got to be safe about it. Let's also be smart about it as well. For those that are listening, let's please pass a message. Let's not destroy stuff just because we're angry and we're upset, or you think that it's cute for the moment, because it's not, and especially downtown because I live here. Um, but just keep caring about folks, y'all. We all need somebody to care about us, and it's nothing to care about a stranger. It really isn't.
Well put. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Recording this episode twice really has me in deep reflection. I've really never had a conversation about my hair journey until I sat down with Lawrence. I've never really reflected on the pain of the comments that I would receive about my different styles, where my hair journey really was ignited, and where it really changed. So the bookends that I talked about, like my first perm versus my last perm, and the reasons why I stopped getting perms. It's not really about the styles or the upkeep, but the stories, the messages that we receive about our hair. Lawrence reminded me that affirmation can heal what we didn't know that we needed to be healed. That's our hair, our identity, our worth. They're not separate. They've always been connected. If this conversation stirred something with you, you're not alone. Sit with it. Reflect on your own journey and maybe pass the affirmation on to someone who really needs it. Thank you for being here. And as always, let's keep doing better.
You've been listening to author, artist, and nonprofit organizer Lawrence Carroll. For more information on Mr. Carroll, visit mydearmajesty.com, majesticgallery.org, or follow him on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. Order your copy of My Dear Queen, My Dear Majesty today, where most books are sold. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show, leave a rating or review, and share it with a friend or colleague. You can find Do Better with Debra on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and coming soon to YouTube. Thank you for listening, and let's do better on purpose.